Hello and welcome back to another reaction. In this occasion, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, episode 12. Yeah, last time it was kind of a filler episode. Of course, we dealt with some delicate issues, but it actually works also as a transition between, the tragedy that was the death of Hughes, and to this beautiful moment in which we saw the birth of a new life. So yeah, I love the contrast between these two episodes. And yeah, even when I said filler, I don't think he's bad. Let me explain. We need to know all of this because now we have a goal for Winry. Now that we introduce Winry, we have a goal for her. She needs to improve her abilities to help Edward to reach his own goal. So she is supporting in her own way. And I don't mean she's a lesser character for this. No, she has certain ability, and of course, if somebody else is going to use that ability, in this case Ed, that is better. Because yes, the skill that Winry has is amazing, an amazing mechanic we have here, a very young one. But of course, she still doesn't know everything about, well, her own craft. So she needs to learn from the best. Therefore, that's why she needs to stay in this place. And yes, this is something, again, I did not remember this one. I did not remember that Winry stay in this place if she stayed in the place in the last series. Something I completely forgot, or even if it existed in the last series. But yeah, this is a fascinating development because it makes character growth. Not in the same way as the Elric brothers, because yes, it's not that traumatic that somebody died, especially a little kid that they were very attached to. So yeah, it's a different way of character growth. With something I'm thankful because after the traumatic episode of the death of Hughes, yes, we needed something a lot more relaxing. But as I said in my last video, even when I saw a little bit of suffering from the wife, I was expecting, oh, come on, please let them live happily. Give me that, please. I suffer enough in the last episode. So yeah, I was praying for that. But anyway, yeah, now the Elric brothers are closer to their teacher, to their master. And yeah, she's a very interesting character. Um, I don't know if we're going to see her in this one. I don't know if this is the episode in which the formal introduction is made of the character, or we're going to have to wait for a little while. Perhaps one or two more episodes in which they are traveling. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Again, yeah, it's kind of meeting old friends because yes, these characters were amazing the first time I saw the series, and they keep being more amazing in this new iteration of the series of the Full Metal Alchemist series. So yeah, I think I spoke enough about it in this presentation. So yeah, let's just cut all of this and watch the episode, shall we? Okay, I'm back. I just watched a second time the 12th episode of the series. And yes, this is when we met the master of the Elric brothers in a more formal way, I want to say. Well, we hear her speak and full sentences and everything. And yes, we saw finally the interaction between the Elric brothers and the Master. Because yes, she has been kind of presented in the second episode, I think it was. Because we saw her very briefly in that second episode. In this one, we of course, she's part of the main story of this episode. And yes, they arrived to Dublin. Uh, and they are scared. They are completely scared of the master. Good and good reason, because before that moment, before this visit, she is she doesn't know that they committed taboo. That they use her teachings so they can commit taboo. That's what they. My guess they didn't want for her to know. So when she was very aggressive, because yeah, she is very violent, she is very aggressive towards them, even when they were kids. Of course, she was going to be even more aggressive now that they are grown up a little bit. And if she knows that they committed taboo. But of course, we again kind of subverting expectation, because yes, first we saw this giant man, this colossal man, very muscular man, going out. And yes, if you didn't know, if you didn't watch the last series, and if you haven't read the manga, yes, you were like, oh, this is the master. Because they are so scared of him, especially with the knife, the bloody knife in his hands. But no, actually, he's a very nice person in this case. Hell, it's one of the few people in this world that really told Ed that he has grown up. Not much, but he's one of the few people who really said that, and he really mean it. So yeah, he's a very kind sort. Yes, he's muscular and very intimidating. Hell, he's taller than Al in his armor form. So yeah, he's imposing, but he's not a bad person, as I said before. He's a very kind sort, and he's just kind of seen his kids later on after a very long trip. And yes, he treats them like kids, like they were still just small children. And of course, he announced their arrival to the teacher. And yes, they're kind of hiding this. But of course, most of us already know who the teacher was. And I love the voice. I have never heard her in Japanese. The last time I watched the series, it was in English. So this is the first time I hear her voice, her Japanese voice, and I love it. It's just so perfect for her to have that voice. It's just so perfect. I guess once she opens the door, she just starts kicking Ed, and she's like, it is nothing, because yes, she's that badass, she's that strong, and she's that intimidating. And she kind of, well, she looks very angry because yeah, Ed joined the military. He became a dog for the military, so she is not very happy. And of course, Al is terrified of this, really, really terrified, because yeah, it's understandable. But she kind of softens her face once she noticed Al. Al kind of been lured in a false sense of security, approach her, but she just dealt with him like it was nothing, even though Al is supposed to be the better fighter of the Elric brothers. So yeah, she's that amazing. And of course, we saw another aspect of her, because yes, she's very strong, very aggressive towards the Elric brothers. But she is still sick. So far, or until this point, the show never told us why. We just recently know that yeah, she is sick. But of course, the husband is worried for her, and I mean the big muscular guy. And I love the complete change that yes, she's amazingly aggressive towards the Elric brothers, but toward her husband, she's so in love. So, oh, you were worried for me, dear. And yes, like a teenager in love, and I love it. It's so cute to see all those contrasts, because it's believable. Yeah, people can behave in different circumstances differently. So yeah, we return and we're having kind of a tea or coffee. I don't know exactly what is that. And they are discussing, of course, the philosophical stone, because that is the main goal of the Elric brothers, and that's why they return to their master. She said, I'm not interested in that, but I visit Central, and there is somebody there who knows a lot about the philosophical stone. And that's when she mentioned the name, Hohenheim. And this, of course, touched a nerve in both Ed and Al, and I think it's a lot worse in Ed. I kind of see Al forgiving this person, in this case, the father who abandoned them, the mother, and of course they. So yes, Ed is not happy to hear the name. Perhaps if it was anybody else, he will be fine with that answer. He will be just looking for them and looking for answers and all of that. But in this case, is the father, and they are not in good terms with the father. I am going to even say that he hates his father. So there is something deeper in here, especially for the words that were said for the teacher. But I am not sure if it's what I think it is, because I do not recall entirely what happened with the father in the last series. So yes, I'm gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna leave it like that because I don't remember, and I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who who haven't seen the series, and I don't want to just guess randomly because again I'm not entirely sure of what I'm thinking right now. But anyway, we saw flashbacks of the mother and the way she behaves and just how lovely of a woman she was. She was kind, she loved her children so much. Yes, she scolded them, especially when they were in the bottom of the pile of blocks. So yeah, she was kind of angry, but she was such a kind person. And of course, that makes the tragedy that happened later on even worse when she died. I don't know if what we saw is the exact moment in which she died or when she just fell very, very sick. So yeah, that is my doubt again. And we return to the teacher, and they are still discussing this the philosophical stone. Of course, there is again the deeper meaning in those words. Again, I'm not going to say anything. I just want to point that. And then, of course, we saw dinner time. And this is, again, the Elric brothers trying to hide the fact that they commit taboo. Ed has both of his globes, so he can hide the automail. And of course, Ed is saying, oh no, I ate too much in the train, so I'm not hungry, of course. Hiding the fact that he doesn't have a body. Here, they are not suspicious, but my guess is the master already knew by this moment that they committed taboo. And yes, again, the hints of this episode, the way that the master speaks, because I was thinking of the husband and I connected to the wife, but no, I was talking about the master of the Elric brothers, Izumi. She was just speaking again the foreshadowing of this episode that yes, they're speaking about a baby, that they witnessed the birth of a baby, and that is kind of nostalgic for her, that just you should appreciate life, that's how you were born, etc. And of course the look in the husband, he's kind of holding himself back to say anything else because yes, there is something deeper behind those words. And then we return to another flashback again with the Elric brothers when they started training. They meet the teacher, the master, in a terrible flood that was near their town. Of course, they were traveling, and I mean the master and her husband were traveling in the land. I don't know why. I don't remember why, if it was ever mentioned in the show or in the past show. But they help, or she helps, not they, she helps to build kind of a dam so they can stop the water from going to the town. And that's when the Elric brothers saw an alchemist, and that's when they saw their opportunity to learn alchemy for obvious reasons. Yeah, this is of course after the mother died, and of course the father was long gone by that moment. Yeah, a little bit of comedic moments here because yeah, she's so imposing, so happy. Oh yes, I'm just here to help. I'm a passing by housewife. But she just barfed blood and all that. Is just, oh, poor girl. But yeah, the reaction of the town people, it's funny the lack of the reaction, because yeah, it's funny that. But of course, the elder brother wants to learn alchemy, and they ask first, of course, an old lady. She doesn't like that, and they ask nicer this time. It's, oh, please. I think they say Onesan, Onesan or something like that. Miss, it was the translation they gave us. Yeah, it's pretty similar, of course, that she calmed herself down because that she wasn't an old lady anymore. But that doesn't mean that she was going to teach them until she find out that they don't have parents for different circumstances, and they were so persistent. I love how they are holding to her arm and just not letting go. It's really funny because yeah, this anime is something I enjoy a lot about. That it can be so silly at times and so serious in the next moment, and it doesn't feel forced. It feels natural. Of course, the silliness is taken to an extreme. The silly faces, the exaggerated movements, and of course, when the little ghosts appear outside of the bodies and all that. Yeah, those are silly moments, and I loved it. But again, I love the contrast that this show is capable of. That yes, you can have silly moments, you can have serious moments, and it doesn't affect the story. The story is amazing in this anime. But once she realized that they don't have parents, returning to the episode, she has a soft spot for this kind of circumstances. Her soft spot is abandoning them in an island, of course, inside a gigantic lake, and they need to feed themselves. They need to survive for 30 days and find the answer to the question, well, not the question, to the kind of a riddle that all is one and one is all, kind of the freaking one for all, but anyway, and she just abandoned them with a knife. That's it. And they are not allowed to use alchemy in the island, so they need to survive. Of course, they do not understand how this is going to help them learn alchemy. They do not understand. And in the first few days, they don't eat. They just barely sleep, is my guess. And of course, the husband is worried for the kids. And this is when we learn how the training for her went. That she was not abandoned in a warm island. No, she was in the middle of winter in a huge mountain and fighting against giant birds. And she's such a badass because she survived and learned so much stuff. But the husband is amazing too, because he can grab the knife with a couple of fingers. It's amazing. It's amazing the way the husband behaved. So yeah, it's a neat episode because the Elric brothers are kind of learning how to survive. Yes, at the beginning they weren't very good because they feel bad for the rabbit, the first thing they hunt. But they learn quickly that yes, nature can be cruel. Because a fox just snatch the rabbit from them, and even the little foxes, the small animals that yes, they look cute, but they kind of lost some of the cuteness when they start to eat and just grab pieces of the rabbit and all of that. So yes, they start to understand this. Of course, this is not all. They survive winter, well, not winter, rain. They survive, of course, this terrible heat, and that's when Ed start to hallucinate. First, he saw Al like a gigantic piece of meat, and then he saw the ants as, well, as chocolates. That's what I thought he saw. He started to eat. But this is when the realization hit him that yes, he is alive, but thanks to all the things surrounding his life. All the things, all the creatures, everything surrounding his life. And that's when they realize that they really need to survive. They start to hunt, and they don't feel bad now by killing an innocent rabbit. Innocent in the kind of weird sense. And they start to make fire. And yes, they start to eat quite well. And in the end of the last day, before they were rescued by the teacher, that's when they understood the answer for the riddle. That yes, everything has a purpose. Everything is connected. If they didn't survive, they will have died, and probably they will have been eaten by the ants or by the foxes. And when the bones and everything that was left there just was, well, rotten, they will return to the ground and they become kind of grass or food for the grass. So the grass will grow, and of course the rabbit will eat the grass, and the fox will eat the rabbit, etc., etc., etc. So yes, it's the cycle of life, the circle of life, that is just connecting everything to everybody. And this is important because, yes, for them they understood that there is perhaps something even bigger outside the universe. And yes, for something so massive, for this flow of light, that something so massive, they look like ants or even less. And that's when they understood, when they say that one is all and all is one, because they are part of the all. But the all cannot exist without the one. And I love that philosophy here. And that's when the teacher decided, because yes, they understood, even if the answer was kind of simplistic, because yes, they are kids, they are children, they understood the meaning of this. And yes, that's when she started to teach them about real alchemy, reading the books and telling them, oh, this is alchemy and this is the circle and all of that. But fighting alongside with them. And yes, she just is so amazing that she's just dealing with them no problem. She's that good. And they kind of ask important questions because they notice that she doesn't have to make a circle to create or to do alchemy. She just clap her hands and that's it. And that's because she is the circle. But there is a reason for that. She did taboo too. And that's when Ed figured that out, because he was remembering all this on bed. And he's capable of doing the same thing, that just clapping his hands and make alchemy. Just like his teacher. So this is when he discovered. And they kind of confront her, but not in the sense way that, oh, you betrayed, you didn't tell us. No. Because perhaps they understand better than anybody else what the feeling of, well, seeing the truth is. And this is when, again, they spar again and they fight with a giant lance. And she starts to attack. And this is when she confirms. But I guess, my guess is she already knew this just confirms that he's able to do the same thing that she is capable of. And he has automail. And of course, Alphonse is just a suit of armor. So she knows, and that's when she opens completely. She explains that she tried to make taboo to trying to revive her lost son. She tried to revive her son, to recreate a son, because she wanted a kid. She wanted a kid alongside with the husband. But unfortunately, there is always a price to pay. She didn't lose any external organs, but she lost internal organs. And we saw that. I don't know if between those organs is her womb. I don't know why I always thought that she lost her womb. I don't know if this was mentioned in the last series. I don't know if it's something that my imagination just went run wild. I thought she lost the womb. But I always thought of that. She never mentions that in this episode. She just mentioned a bunch of organs. But that was the price she has to pay for the knowledge she acquired, the internal organs. And this is, again, how the episode, that most of the time was completely silly, because of the faces, of the way the master behaves and the Weldrick brothers behave when they are in the presence of their master and all of that. And it turns into this serious moment that she understood. She wasn't angry towards them. She understood the need of wanting somebody that is dear to you to be back, or to exist even. So yes, instead of punish them, and yes, instead of scolding them or hitting them or anything like that, when she saw that they were, oh no, you are fine, don't worry, this was bring upon us, and I'm just preparing for when I recover my body and all of that. That's when she realized that yes, these kids are broken in the inside. She just hugs them, and this is perhaps the first time she has been this compassionate towards them. And this is a very warm moment because, yes, this is when they break. This is when they break, start to ask for forgiveness. And this is when they break, like, oh, sorry, we did that, we were stupid, we were all that. But she understands, she doesn't get mad in this moment. And I love these little moments in, well, calm. And yes, I love the contrast because they are not making one-dimensional characters that the character is always angry, or the character is always silly, or the character is always this or that. No. And this is important for the show. And of course, the last scene is a little bit of explanation that yes, technically the circle of life is alchemy. Because it takes matter and it transforms it in something else to help the rest of the world to move around. And that's what technically an alchemist do. That they transform, they destroy, they transform, and they I think it's understand, transform, no, understand, destroy, and transform, or reveal, or something along those lines. So yeah, they are like that. They understand that the circle of life is like the alchemy, because that is what nature is doing. It's taking something, it's destroying something, and it's transforming it into something else. They're not wasting anything. Nature is not wasting anything. And I love that last perspective that the anime gives. Now, there are certain things that really I love. Again, the little hints in the same episode about what happened to her. Why she can make or transform or use alchemy just by clapping her hands. But not only that, the subtle hints in the face of the husband and the way he behaves and the way he treats the Elric brothers. And again, in the last moment when they're about to say the story about the baby that they lost, I love how they both need to agree to say the story, because yes, this belongs to both of them. Because my guess, and again, this is just mere speculation on my behalf, the husband knew that she tried to revive the kid. Perhaps he agrees, okay, do you think you can do it? Do you really want to do this? And he was supportive of his wife. He of course knows nothing about alchemy. That's why he didn't participate. So that's why she was left alone in the room. So yes, and yes, the confirmation that yes, if they decide to share the story is because both decide to share the story, not just one of them. And I love those little hints here and there that this is a very wholesome marriage. They support each other. They love each other. Even the silly moments, I think is not that important when say, oh dear, you were so worried about me. I don't think that is as important as the last moments or all the small hints that we saw during the episode. Because yes, that first that you were worried about me, dear, it's kind of a silly moment. It's to make fun of it, to help the contrast of this aggressive teacher and this lovely teacher towards her husband. So yeah, I love this episode for that. And I love this anime because again, they are building characters. Not they are just building people that will just help you, or just plot devices that will help you to move into the next stage of the story. No, they are building characters, and that is something I can respect from this anime.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that video, and yes, thank you so much for your attention, guys. And as always, if you want to leave a comment, that will help me a lot more. If you want to give me a like, that will help me even more to get on the top of the recommendation for YouTube. And if you want to share this video, that will help me even more. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, guys, for your attention. I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, see you in the next one. Bye.